Have you ever stopped to think whether the way we talk about women today hides more than it reveals? Society often paints love and relationships in bright colors, but philosophers like Schopenhauer weren't afraid to strip away the illusions. His words about women were so direct, so unsettling that even in his own time they caused outrage. But here's the question. Was he exposing uncomfortable truths or simply projecting his own bitterness? Share your view in the comments because how you answer says a lot about how you see human nature. Schopenhauer believed that women's psychology and behavior could not be understood only through romance or idealism. He saw them as rooted in survival, reproduction, and practicality. Whether we agree with him or not, his message forces us to reconsider what we expect from relationships and what illusions we may be carrying. Sometimes his ideas feel less like philosophy and more like a warning. In this video, we'll uncover the core message Schopenhauer left about women, why it was so controversial, and how it can still challenge us to think differently about love today. If this resonates with you, drop seductive wisdom in the comments so I know you stayed with me until the end. Have you ever stopped to think whether the way we talk about women today hides more than it reveals? Society often paints love and relationships in bright colors, but philosophers like Schopenhauer weren't afraid to strip away the illusions. His words about women were so direct, so unsettling that even in his own time they caused outrage. But here's the question. Was he exposing uncomfortable truths or simply projecting his own bitterness? Share your view in the comments because how you answer says a lot about how you see human nature. Schopenhauer believed that women's psychology and behavior could not be understood only through romance or idealism. He saw them as rooted in survival, reproduction, and practicality. Whether we agree with him or not, his message forces us to reconsider what we expect from relationships and what illusions we may be carrying. Sometimes his ideas feel less like philosophy and more like a warning. In this video, we'll uncover the core message Schopenhauer left about women, why it was so controversial, and how it can still challenge us to think differently about love today. If this resonates with you, drop seductive wisdom in the comments so I know you stayed with me until the end. At the heart of Schopenhauer's philosophy is his concept of the will. He believed this invisible force drives all life, not reason, not morality, but blind, endless desire. According to him, human beings are trapped in a cycle of wanting, chasing, and suffering. We think fulfillment will come when we achieve our goals, but the moment one desire is met, another quickly takes its place. This constant hunger is what made him call life a struggle filled more with pain than joy. When applied to relationships, this view becomes even darker. Schopenhauer argued that what we often call love is not a higher form of connection but a disguise for biological necessity. In his eyes, men and women are not drawn together primarily for happiness, but because nature forces them into partnership for reproduction and survival. What looks like romance is, in his words, a trick of the will to keep humanity alive. This perspective was shocking because it stripped love of its poetry. Instead of celebrating passion or devotion, Schopenhauer described attraction as nature's manipulation. For example, he suggested that when a man idealizes a woman, he's really just being pushed by instincts he doesn't fully understand. The illusions of romance, he said, hide the fact that our choices are often guided by survival, not reason. Modern psychology and evolutionary biology in some ways echo parts of his thinking. Researchers today often explain attraction in terms of survival traits, such as health, stability, or protection. While Schopenhauer's conclusions were harsh and one-sided, his intuition that human desire is rooted in biology rather than pure emotion has found surprising support in contemporary science. So here's a reflection. If what we call love is, at its core, driven by survival instincts and hidden desires, how much freedom do we really have in our choices? Share your thoughts in the comments, because this question challenges us to look at love not only with the heart but with clear eyes. Schopenhauer's essay on women is one of the most infamous writings in philosophy. In it, he presented women not as romantic ideals, but as beings driven by practicality and survival. He claimed that women were more focused on everyday concerns, security, children, and resources rather than on intellectual or artistic pursuits. To him, their nature was tied directly to the will, the force of life pushing humanity to survive. One of his most striking claims was that women were less rational and more emotional than men. He argued that they lacked the capacity for deep philosophical thought, and that their talents were suited to managing households and raising families instead. This view, unsurprisingly, earned him fierce criticism both in his own time and long after. Many dismissed his essay as nothing more than misogyny, while others defended it as blunt honesty. He also accused men of deceiving themselves about women. In his eyes, men often projected illusions of purity and angelic nature onto women, refusing to see them as they truly were, human, flawed, and practical. This illusion, Schopenhauer said, was the real danger. Men entered relationships blinded by fantasy only to suffer when reality revealed itself. To illustrate his point, he linked attraction to biological strategy. For example, he believed women naturally sought partners who could provide stability and protection, because their role in reproduction required it. What men interpreted as love, he argued, was really nature's way of pairing individuals for survival. His conclusion stripped away romance and replaced it with raw biology. These claims remained controversial because of their tone. Schopenhauer did not soften his words or offer balance. Instead, he painted with a broad brush. Whether we see him as a truth-teller or as a bitter cynic depends largely on how we read his intent. Was he uncovering biological realities with brutal honesty, or unfairly reducing women to instincts alone? So what do you think? Was Schopenhauer revealing truths no one wanted to admit, or was he projecting his personal frustrations onto half of humanity? Share your thoughts in the comments, because this debate is what keeps his essay alive even 2 centuries later. From the moment Schopenhauer's On Women was published, it was met with outrage. Many saw his words as an outright attack on women, reducing them to instincts and denying their intellectual and moral worth. Feminist thinkers, both then and now, argue that his views were shaped more by bitterness than by objective philosophy. His generalizations left little room for nuance, making them easy to criticize as unfair and hostile. Some scholars point to Schopenhauer's personal life as a source of this negativity. He had a famously strained relationship with his mother, who was an independent writer and thinker herself. Their conflicts may have influenced his harsh judgment of women. In this light, his essay could be read not as universal truth, but as the projection of personal grievances. Others, however, argue that his views must be seen within the larger context of his philosophy. Schopenhauer was pessimistic about all humanity, not just women. He believed that life itself was suffering, driven by blind desires and illusions. From that perspective, his essay on women was simply an extension of his general distrust of human nature. His mistake may have been in singling out women with harsher language, but his criticism applied to men as well, just in different forms. Interestingly, some of his observations echo modern discussions. His claim that love is tied to biology, for example, finds parallels in evolutionary psychology today. While his conclusions were extreme, they reflect a core truth. Relationships are not only emotional, but also shaped by survival and instinct. Recognizing this does not require accepting his pessimism, it just means taking his insights as a reminder to question illusions. The hidden lesson in his work is this: illusions are dangerous. Whether about women, men, or love itself, illusions lead to disappointment when reality breaks through. Even if we reject his harsh tone, his warning against self-deception still holds value. Philosophy, after all, is not only about answers, but about challenging us to see what we prefer to ignore. So here's a question for you. Should we dismiss Schopenhauer's essay as outdated prejudice, or can we still extract lessons from it without endorsing his bitterness? Share your thoughts in the comments, because the way we approach uncomfortable ideas says as much about us as it does about the philosopher. Even if Schopenhauer's views on women feel extreme or outdated, his writings still contain lessons that modern men can reflect on. One of the most important is the danger of illusions. Many men enter relationships with unrealistic expectations, believing love will be effortless or that their partner will perfectly fulfill their needs. Schopenhauer's blunt reminder is that such illusions almost always collapse, leaving frustration behind. Recognizing this helps men approach relationships with clearer eyes and steadier expectations. Another lesson is about the power of self-awareness. Schopenhauer believed that desire controls much of human behavior, often without us realizing it. For men today, this means asking hard questions. Am I pursuing this relationship out of genuine respect and connection, or just out of need, fear, or social pressure? By becoming more conscious of motives, men avoid being trapped by instincts disguised as romance. He also challenges men to see beyond appearances. Physical attraction and charm may capture attention, but they don't guarantee long-term peace or growth. Modern psychology echoes this. Studies show that shared values and stability matter more for lasting relationships than looks or passion alone. In this sense, Schopenhauer's skepticism pushes men to think beyond surface-level attraction. Another insight is resilience. While his words were pessimistic, they point to a truth. Relationships are rarely perfect, and suffering is part of life. Men who accept this reality are less likely to run away at the first sign of conflict. Instead, they can focus on building discipline, patience, and balance, qualities that make them stronger partners and stronger individuals. So while we don't need to accept Schopenhauer's bitterness, we can use his philosophy as a mirror. It reflects truths about desire, illusions, and human weakness that we might prefer to ignore. Facing those truths doesn't make love less meaningful. It makes it more real. So here's the challenge for you. Will you allow illusions to guide your relationships, or will you look deeper with discipline and clarity? Share your answer in the comments, because this choice is the true message hidden in Schopenhauer's writings. Schopenhauer's words about women remain some of the most controversial in philosophy. His tone was harsh, his conclusions extreme, and yet his willingness to strip away illusions forces us to look at love and relationships with more honesty. Whether we agree with him or not, his message is clear. Desire and fantasy can blind us, but clarity and realism can free us. For modern men, the value lies not in copying his bitterness, but in learning from his warnings. By questioning our motives, avoiding unrealistic expectations, and focusing on truth rather than fantasy, we can build stronger relationships and stronger selves. Philosophy isn't always about comfort, it's about facing the difficult questions that most people avoid. Now, I'd like to hear from you. Do you think Schopenhauer's message still carries wisdom for today, or should it remain in the past? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you stayed with me until the end, write seductive wisdom so I know you're part of this journey. Remember, sometimes the harshest words leave the clearest lessons.